This man ate quarterbacks for breakfast. My next guest spent time with the Chargers, the Bills, amazing NFL career, three-time NFL All-Pro, founder of Lights Out Extreme Fighting and Lights Out TV, which is streaming, by the way, the East-West Shrine Bowl practices, January 25th and 28th. Shawne Merriman, congratulations on everything, and welcome back to the show.
Appreciate it. I think I might need one of those drinks you having. So, it was rough this weekend.
It was for the Chargers, but we decided that my producer, Tiara, said, let's start with the Bills. How do you feel about that? Let's start with positive. Can we do that?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, let's start with some positivity here. Josh Allen, one of the most impressive plays of the weekend. Unbelievable. 4th and 1. Here it is. Josh pulls off this pass to Ty Johnson in the back of the end zone. What were you thinking watching this?
It's just one of these things, man, where he just stepped up and, I think they're just taking that next step, right? Because we've been talking about the hump and them getting over the hump. I think this is the year, man, that the Bills can really get over that hump. And they're hurting you in so many different ways. That's really the thing. Him spreading the ball out, and this right here is a great pass, man. But just him being in a situation like this, being able to come over and do that, I think this is the year, honestly, that the Bills could get over that hump.
The hump is now the Ravens. Can they get over that hump?
That is a big hump to get over because, at the same time, man, the way the Ravens are running the ball, and the way what Lamar Jackson's doing right now, they look unstoppable. And I don't really say that about no team because anybody can beat any given week. But the key to success with them when they run the football like that, they're hard to stop because now you got a two-man weapon back there. You don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to pull the ball out and start running or deliver a ball down the field. They just look dominant right now.
You love this Derrick Henry.
I do, man. He's one of my favorite players to watch, and he's like that old school type of running back. Just lower your shoulders. His stiff arm. I'm telling you right now, as being a former defensive player, man, his stiff arms are scary, and I don't say that a whole lot. But the way these guys are moving, the way they coming playing on defense. Chuck Smith, who was my pass rushing coach during the offseason of my playing career, he got these guys rolling up front. So I'm really happy for him.
I want to see the stiff. Oh, we don't have a stiff arm. That's bad. That's not great. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see your visceral reaction. We had a couple of those this weekend. It was disrespectful. He just injects his will. Very disrespectful, and I love that you love it. I was just talking to Hamilton. The theme for me not last night on the Commander side, they could not run the ball, so that's something to pay attention to. But every team with these running backs, these dudes who were they're old, they're whatever, the Joe Mixons, even the Saquons, the Derrick Henrys, it was all about the running back. I saw your tweet about let's pay the man, let's take care. What do you think this does considering the value of the running back position in the market?
Okay, to be honest, I think this resets the market, right? Woo! Because the running backs have been so devalued as of late, and we're seeing now that that's how you win football games. It'll never change. And I say this, every 5 years or so, there's a position to get devalued. The last, several years has been a running back. But who's winning games right now? What teams are winning a lot of football games late in the season? Teams that can know how to run the ball. And, if you got a good running game, everything else falls in place.
Which running back performance outside of Derrick Henry impressed you the most? You had, obviously Josh Jacobs, Saquon was crazy. What impressed you?
Saquon. What Saquon is doing right now, and I was laughing as you talking on the show earlier about him taking it easy. I would feel pretty bad if somebody got to take it easy on me from not scoring and just get down to football. That was pretty bad.
Okay, talk me through this with the Saquon, because this happened, and I know people are saying sportsmanship and no ego. I would never. I am not. He would have gotten a touchdown easy, unscathed. Why did he do this? Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, I haven't. And if you look at his teammates when he got on the sideline, they were telling him to go score. They wanted him to go score. It's an unselfish act. But at the same time, man, if you're the Giants, you're sitting around watching what's going on right now. It doesn't look good for them letting somebody like this out the door because it could be the reason why they won the Super Bowl this year.
And then you're looking, and I saw there was at one point, you didn't get to see his face, but they got Howie Roseman's back of his head. And I just kept thinking to myself, you just love making people feel stupid. The whole, clearly, like no one makes somebody feel as stupid as Roseman does, as Howie does, because you look at obviously the front office with the Giants, then you're looking at the Saints and Zach Bond and what he's able to do out there, like at these crazy levels, and he just loves making people look stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you put Saquon up there and bringing him in, A.J. Brown, bringing him in. And some of these guys that the other teams really didn't value that much, and they found a way to get guys in the building who can produce. So, I think that everybody's going to take a hard look after the season. You at the running back position, a key wide receivers is, kind of on the market. But I really do believe that after this year, the running back, market needs to be reset. Absolutely.
Okay, then who gets paid less?
Well, you got to start looking around the positions, right? Some of these, some of these quarterbacks. And I said this, and I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I think the quarterbacks need to be in a separate pool of their own. I don't think that it should really go against the salary cap because, some of these guys getting paid, Kay, like they don't deserve this type of money. Just above average quarterbacks is making 45 or 50 million a year, and your next best player on the team could be a wide receiver running back that's making almost $15 or $20 million less. So you really can't. You can't put a stamp on a quarterback being more valuable than the Saquon Barkley right now, because what he's doing is allowing these guys to win football games. Derrick Henry, what he's doing is allowing these guys to be on a possible run to a championship. So they got to look at the market after this year for sure.
Which quarterback's overpaid?
30% of them. I mean, seriously.
You think a third of them are overpaid?
I think that and I don't like throwing guys under the bus, but, look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, and I think that probably having a new coaching staff might help him. I think he can play, but when you're talking about this level of how guys are getting paid, it's a lot of money to not go to the playoffs, to get booted. So I think they're going to have to look at the entire system, because I think the system is broken in how they're paying quarterbacks right now just due to the market. I don't think that's a fair evaluation.
Let's talk about A.J. Brown here. So, AJ, have you ever seen this? Shawne Merriman's seen it all. You've freaking seen it all. Have you ever seen a player, not even just, have you ever seen somebody just kicking it on the sideline, reading a book while action's happening? Have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't. And the first thing that came to my mind about him having a book in his hand and not reading it was LeBron. Right, that the memes about LeBron always having a book and only reading the first page.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: everybody has like their thing, right? We used to have players that would like listen to gospel music and stuff like that in the game or during it, like on leading up to the game.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, I don't want to hear anything spiritual right now because I'm going out here to hurt somebody for 60 minutes, right? I'm going out here to inflict pain. But you have guys that just have a way about them that it soothes them, right? Whatever needs to get for them to get back on track. So look, the way he's playing right now, look, I'll go buy you books myself. What kind of book you want, right? So read all the books you want as long as we're winning football games.
I mean, people want to stir up the drama with the Eagles that he's not getting the ball enough. That's why he's reading the book on the sideline. What do you make of that?
I think that at this point, they're under a microscope, right? No matter what happens, they're going to try to create some tension between Jaylen Brown and Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on all season. These guys were at one point very close friends. And, they had a falling out because maybe they wasn't getting the football. But I think they put all that to rest. They said several times that they're good. And, he's been reading the book all season, but why down, right? Why are they talking about it right now? Because they're trying to create that divide. So those guys, they've got to block out the noise. And this is not going to be the last thing to come up. They're going to try to divide these guys getting on their way to the championship.
The book is called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. By the way, it's #1 on Amazon right now. It is the best seller. Everybody in Philly bought it clearly this morning. And I love that. Let's talk. Are you ready? Are you ready to talk about your Chargers?
Oh, yeah. Pass that one over here to me. So, God.
Go. Let it rip. Shawne, let it rip.
The most frustrating part is that we all know what the narrative is going to be, right? About Justin Herbert, about this team. Mm-hmm. And, look, he didn't have his greatest performance. In fact, probably his worst performance of the entire year. Just so happened to happen on the biggest stage. But let's not forget this. This team only won 5 games last year. They only won 5 games. And everyone said before Jim Harbaugh came in there that it was going to be at least 2 or 3 years before they get going again. They got into the playoffs with a team trying to figure things out, first year head coach, and no one expected them to be there. And so I want to say that, but overall, man, without kicking the Chargers too much, you got to give credit to DeMeco Ryans and that team. They're like playing with his personality. You can see after every change of possession, interception, or forced fumble, these guys running over to the sideline, celebrating. That personality, that character of DeMeco Ryans is passed down through that team, and they're playing great football right now. So without kicking the Chargers down too much and how bad they played in certain situations, I think people are not giving credit to Houston and that team and that defense especially.
I think they're getting a lot of 4 interceptions is crazy. I don't know what to make of Justin Herbert. You know how I feel about the Chargers. Yeah. What do you make of Justin? You're saying, oh, it just happened. I just spilled my champagne. I just fumbled. You're saying that it happened. It just you literally said it just so happens under these bright lights. He only has 2 playoff games, both not great, both memorably not great, both 2 of his worst performances. And it's not the coaching. Jim Harbaugh's doing everything he can. What needs to change with or for Herbert?
You know, for one, Herbert, when he gets on the main stage, he knows that all the credit is going to go to him, and all the people jumping in your back is going to go to him as well. So he has to perform better. And you would hope that some of these throws, a couple easy throws too, that he just threw too high, and it was bad pass and things like simple throws. You got to make those. But ultimately, you're going to throw a pick or 2 against a team like this. I mean, they had a great defensive plan.
Crazy.
And they came out second half, man. They were running stunts. Will Anderson, it's a funny story about Will Anderson. Matt Zentz, who was a writer for the University of Maryland football team, went down to Alabama. He was a writer for Alabama. He called me one day, Will's freshman year at Alabama, and said, you got to watch this kid. He reminds me a lot about you. He's a little light right now, but this guy could go. So since his freshman year at Alabama, I've been watching him close, just been a big fan, and they let him rip yesterday. I mean, him coming right here off the sideline, off the side of it when nobody blocked me. All of these are defensive schemes to create one-on-ones across the board, and sometimes a guy goes free. You gotta adjust to those things, man. Your best player or one of the best players on defense can't run free like that. You'll never win football games. What
was more impressive to you? Like, you're clearly a huge fan of DeMeco Ryans. He said, he was obsessed with his secondary. He was saying all these great things about his pass rush, and you're talking about Anderson, Danielle Hunter as well. What was more impressive to you, and why could it be effective against their next opponent?
Well, when you're playing that level of defense, you're going to create some turnovers. You're giving, C.J. Stroud and them another opportunity.
Chiefs do not turn the ball over. They do not. That's one thing they do not do.
They don't do that. So they're going to need a pick or 2 or some kind of way to turn the ball over. And like I said, I don't think enough credit is going to the other side of the ball. Like C.J. Stroud, I mean, he when it mattered, either when he's running the ball for a first down, or doing something to put those guys. The one scramble they had him in that 3rd and long situation, he delivered the ball down the field, and they got to you can't let those things happen and expect to win football games. So they had an opportunity yesterday, and I thought after the first half that they were going to come out the second half, readjust, and get back to it, because a few times this year has happened. But they just didn't readjust the second half.
What could they have readjusted? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I've seen you at games. I know how you're so close to the team. What did you want them to adjust? What made Shawne Merriman scream and be upset the most about the performance?
I think the biggest thing for me is that you got to start throwing the ball down the field a little bit more to pose a threat. And I'm not saying that these guys are going to go out and make a whole lot of plays down the field, but if you keep throwing these, shorter balls, and you're not completing something, just to make the defense think that you have the capabilities of going down the field. They just never really posed a threat like that. And also, I hate to complain about the refs and everything else, man. I thought Derwin James, I thought that was a pick. I thought that was interception, which would have been a game-changing play for the Chargers. But overall, you got to make these certain plays by Justin Herbert, and you got to have a deep threat down the field. I think that's something that they're going to have to look at this offseason and get a big play. Just somebody to stretch the field, because you can't continue to run the football like that and don't have a deep threat down the field, at least to go and make a play like that.
Quentin Johnston had this huge game, and then I was watching yesterday, that should be his role. 5 targets, couldn't pull one in. That's sort of the issue. So I feel like they did take some shots downfield as I was watching it as a fan, and they just sort of weren't able to connect. And then there's just the secondary, which maybe is a problem for Patrick Mahomes, who knows how to work out 5 PBUs from Stingley, along with those 2 interceptions. It was that first interception by Herbert where I was like, this game, that just changed, obviously, everything. It changed everything for me down the stretch, and they could not adjust in the second half. It's a great point by you. Am I going to live in a world where I have to say bye to Khalil Mack? He's talking about his future in the locker room. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Speak on a definitive decision in the terms of what I'm going to do, because I don't know if I'm going to play football moving forward. So there's some things I got to talk through with my wife, and spend some time with my kids, and try not to make a rash decision after a loss. And try not to be emotional through this process, and trying to think a little more clearly. And that's going to take time.
What am I supposed to think about this?
Yeah, so look, he has a Hall of Fame career. If he stopped playing, he's done. He's a guy that's going to be up for the Hall of Fame, and it is a very tough decision. The only thing I would tell Khalil Mack, to be honest, is make sure you're sure being done, because you can't go back.
Ooh.
Right? It's once you make that decision, it's done forever. In my opinion, I think he's playing too high level of football to stop playing right now, especially if his body feels good. Because Kate, one of the things you want to do, like year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, you don't want to have that feeling sitting somewhere on the couch and saying, "Man, I could have came back for another year," right? You just don't want that feeling. So, if he was on a downhill, playing wise, or he was banged up, or his body just couldn't hold up anymore, then yeah, you got to be done with the game. But in my opinion, he's playing too high level of football. He's still very impactful. And regardless of whatever he does, he's going to be a Hall of Fame guy.
I'm happy you said that. He had 2 sacks in this game. I hope this wasn't it's always nice to leave on top, but I think it's great advice to heed. And can I give more? And I felt the same way watching Von Miller yesterday. I think the Broncos, being his old team, gave him a little something extra. He was in the backfield all freaking day.
Yeah, and Von is another one, right? And I'm not saying he's the Von Miller of 5 or 6 years ago, but when it counts, he can still go out and make plays. And that's the hardest when you walk away from the game is, what do I look like last? How do I feel? And what's going to happen if this be it? Now, again, if the Bills go and win the Super Bowl and you're Von Miller, maybe you might look at that. For Khalil, it's a little bit different. I think they got another shot in the next year or two to get back to where they are right now and possibly play further in the playoffs. That you don't want to just walk away from the game so easy, because they got another shot. If you're Von, they win a championship, yeah, you right off to the sunset. That's it.
I want to talk about some of these quarterbacks. Before we take a TV break, tell me what's going on with East-West Shrine Bowl quickly. I know you got practices, Lights Out TV, you're everywhere.
Yeah, we got the Lights Out Sports, my network. We have the East-West Shrine Bowl practices on the 25th to the 28th. This is going to be crazy because we'll have cameras and stuff right up on the one-on-ones against the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman, the wide receivers, DBs. We got a ton of interviews.
That's awesome.
This confirmed list of players that we got for the East-West Shrine Bowl is insane. This is the 100th annual East-West Shrine Bowl year, and it's special. So I got the practice leading up into the big game, and we got a ton of big interviews and people coming out for it. And all these guys, they're trying to better their stock in the NFL and get their last look before they go into the combines and their pro days and everything else. So, make sure everybody download Lights Out Sports TV. It'll be free on every platform, and make sure you check us out. This was going to be good.
How the hell did you get the practices to this Shrine Bowl? That's a story for you and me another time, another place. TV break here, but we're staying live on YouTube. We'll get this content out.